Welcome to another Moments of Grace, this time episode 10, and maybe the shocking title, Parenting with Harry Potter. I recently asked, because of a book that I've been reading, I asked Caroline, my eldest daughter, Caroline, if you could choose a set of parents from the Harry Potter books, which set would they be to be your parents? And without missing a beat, Caroline responded, the Weasleys. Well, why might that be? Why did she respond so quickly without even having to think that the Weasleys would be her ideal parents? Because, of course, there are other options in life, of course, but other options in the books. Not many of our children, I assume, would say the Dursleys or the Malfoys. If we asked them that question, which parents from the Potter books would you prefer or like? And so, why might it be that the Weasleys would be the most popular choice? Or maybe Harry's parents, or maybe another set of parents in the book. Why would our children choose one parenting style over others? Now, those questions cause us to look quite deeply into how we parent. In reading this book that I'm going to refer to in a second, it was in this chapter that I'm sharing today that I had a lot of self-reflection as I was reading it. And so, what do we find portrayed in the different array of parenting techniques that J.K. Rowling gives us in the Harry Potter books? And how might these help us reflect upon our own parenting approaches? Now, as I mentioned, I've been reading a book on Harry Potter. I've read the Potter books at least probably almost 3 times now, all the way through over quite a few years. But I've been reading this book called Teaching Faith with Harry Potter, and it is by an Episcopal priest, the Reverend Patricia Lyons. And she proposes in this chapter on parenting with Harry Potter that the ideal way of parenting, based upon another book that she's read outside of the Potter series, is the in command, out of control approach to parenting. And this is because the author of that book proposes that the ideal structured environment, one that breeds the greatest diversity and productivity, is indeed this in command, out of control approach, not only to parenting, but to life. So, what does this mean? In command, out of control. Well, in command refers to the natural or immutable laws in life which force us to creatively adapt in our own diverse ways. Within parenting, this would be, if indeed we are in command, this would be a set of rules or a structure to life that our children know, either because we've said it explicitly or because we frame and structure our household lives together on this in command. Out of control refers to freedom. And it is the freedom which can be given, which allows an organism, a child, of course, to respond to the fixed laws of reality, if they have them in command, in their own way. So in command, out of control. Well, so what? Well, the proposal is that the reward for creatively responding to natural laws is this: survival and constant adaptation amongst all creatures. Clearly not speaking specifically to parenting, but I think we can begin to see how this could be applied. Now, what are the dangers of something that's not in command or out of control? And we'll look at the Potter parents here soon. Well, without consistent command, call those rules or laws, things like concrete is hard and a pillow isn't, or knowing the clear rules and laws and rules that we might have in our households, well, without those, there wouldn't be any necessity or indeed freedom to develop consistent patterns of steady and creative growth. How do I live with that rule? How do I adapt? How do I grow? In other words, we'd be all over the place if all of a sudden we discovered that our pillow was more like concrete than a soft feather pillow. It would keep us wondering. It would keep us guessing in life. It would make us very anxious. And so, as I mentioned, we can probably already see the benefits of this approach in parenting of in command, out of control. But let's look at it through other lenses in the parents that we have in the Harry Potter books. Well, let's begin with the Malfoys. They are described as in command and in control. The Malfoys are undoubtedly in control of Draco's life. Narcissa and Lucius have very clear chosen family values. And these, of course, include wizards first, purebloods first, and most definitely the Malfoys first. But they couple these very clear commands with very clear control in their approach to parenting. How? Well, Narcissa communicates with Draco every day, and his father is on the board of the school. Draco will not find a day without his parents having a voice in his life, and hence control and command in his life. Even though he is at a distant boarding school, the Malfoys find a way to be in control and in command. Well, what's the result? Well, I think as we see in Draco's life, he has little self-confidence, and he resorts to bullying in order to make himself feel the superiority that his parents believe that he has by right, which he doesn't feel unless he expresses it through bullying with his friends. And maybe this is why Draco is so willing to accept the mission that Voldemort gives him. He maybe thinks that in that mission with Voldemort that he will finally find an adult who thinks that he is worthy and that he is trustworthy enough to exercise freedom to do something on his own. Reverend Lyons, who wrote this book, has encountered many Malfoy-like families over the years as she has taught and been at meetings, and they come up to her and say, "How did this happen? We did absolutely everything we could to avoid this outcome in our child." And she says, Reverend Lyons says she can't help but hear the voice of Yoda in her mind when that question is asked her, "That is why you fail." Well, what about being out of command and in control? And let's think about Neville Longbottom in this case. As you may know, his parents were tortured by Bellatrix Lestrange for not giving information about the secret society, the Order of the Phoenix. And so this, of course, left Neville's parents in a permanent state of dementia and left Neville at a very young age without his parents. And so he was raised by his grandmother. Now, there's little doubt in the books that Neville's grandmother was in control. We may understand her very controlling parenting style and nature, driven by fear and grief out of what happened to his parents. Protection, control being at the top of her agenda. But we don't get a sense from Neville in the books that he received much command to go with the control in his life. And so it is not shocking that we find in Neville, the character of Neville, that he is searching for parental guidance at school. He's looking for rules and structure. Now, this gets him into trouble at times as he follows Barty Crouch disguised as Mad-Eye Moody. Children with in control but out of command parenting are sometimes searching for what is lacking: boundaries, consistency. But this desire also brings Neville into Dumbledore's army, where he begins to find the family structure that he so desires. Well, let's move on to the Lovegoods. And the Lovegoods, I think, if we know the books at all, could be very well described as out of command, out of control. The Lovegoods are experimenters. They're always pushing boundaries, and they are eccentric to the extreme. We can only imagine Luna, their daughter, asking for guidance on something and receiving answers that are, well, nowhere near in command or in command. It might not be shocking to find that the Lovegoods are also not in control. Now, there is a beauty in the Lovegoods' pursuit of creativity through nonconformity and brave expression, even if it flies in the face of truth at times. Luna is a favorite of many a child for her curiosity and her bravery to be who she is no matter what. But there is also little doubt that Luna knew unconditional love from her father, especially after the death of her mother. But with little command or little control in her life, Luna is slow to make decisions if any decision is made at all. Well, finally, who is going to be our ideal in command, out of control parents? And of course, it's the Weasleys, a group of imperfect people, but a group of people who structure their family in a way that love and commitment are known by all of the members, and that love and commitment known enables them to learn from their mistakes, the freedom that they are given to mess up and to make mistakes, and then hence apply that wisdom in order to thrive in life. And they all do so. All the Weasley children thrive in very different ways, showing the out of controlness within the in command. Arthur and Molly had few rules, but their children knew them as strong, loving parents nonetheless. Arthur could always be counted on for his justice, his curiosity, and his forgiveness, no matter what he was dealing with in other parts of his life. Molly could be counted on to fiercely love her children, sacrificing for their education, staying up all night to make sure they were okay. And so, even without a long list of rules, the Weasleys were in command with their children because of their abiding love and support. Molly is, of course, not perfect, though, is she? Well, of course, Arthur isn't either. But Molly is this kind of perfect kind of bringing together of in command, out of control. She struggles with the freedom that Arthur gives so easily, and yet she allows her children to go out of the burrow every school year and into the world. Well, minus a howler that she sends here and there. That clock in the Weasley house, that is just J.K. Rowling's way of showing us the pains and fears of a parent committed to an in-command, out-of-control parenting. The clock where each hand is a member of the family and it says where they are at the time or if they're in danger. The kind of anxiety created by in-command, but out of control. Now, because of that clock and because of the anxiety that we see in Molly, Reverend Lyons, and once again, the classes that she has taught and as she's been around, she said many people wonder if the in command, out of control parenting is worth all of the pain and the anxiety. She likens it to what Churchill said about democracy. It is the worst form of government, except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time. You might be interested to know, after asking Caroline why the Weasleys, why did she answer that so quickly? Well, she responded, they seem very kind, very loving. They welcomed Harry into their home, so they brought others in to their family. And she said that they just seemed like very kind, loving, and caring parents. And that came across strongly to her in the books and in the movies. In command, out of control. Well, these reflections on parenting and the examples of all the families in the Harry Potter books, well, they lead me, and hopefully they lead you as well, not to judge either the Lovegoods, the Longbottoms, or even the Malfoys, or even if we know Longbottoms, Lovegoods, or Malfoys in our life, but instead it has caused me to reflect, and hopefully I will continue to do so, on our parenting. It has definitely caused me to wonder how Weasley-like I am. I am most definitely at times in control, but I am most definitely at times out of control as well. And there is little doubt that while I think my commands are clear and unmistakable, I am not as consistent as I wish I was. And so while I am somewhat convinced in reading this and thinking about it that in command and out of control is a great way, there's no way that any of us are going to perform that perfectly. And so hopefully all of these reflections just allow us to reflect a little bit upon our home life, our parenting life, and to see where we are and to find maybe some joy and some inspiration in the Harry Potter series and in the parenting techniques that we find there. I can't help but end with James and Lily Potter, especially since we're in Lent. We don't know too much about their parenting techniques, but we know this: love rules. A sacrificial love that is ready to give of itself in order to allow another to live and to thrive. What more could we ask for during this Lenten season as we follow Christ to the cross and to the empty tomb, that we may all be inspired to love and to put others first?